Welcome back, everybody, to Dogo Verdadero's podcast. This is going to be part 3 of our Dogo Roundtable. We have Mike C finishing up some of his ideas, and then Jimmy Dundon will be coming right behind him. Jimmy was the 2023 Pachanga Best Hunter winner, so he's going to share some of his experiences as well as what he thinks we can do to keep the Dogo breed going good. So please like, share, subscribe, and enjoy.
And I would take a dog after they got a little older, big enough where they couldn't squeeze in the fence anymore. I would take an older dog with them that I know would bark at the hogs and just like rile these puppies up, right? And I'd walk down there and feed the hog with all these puppies and one older cur dog or something that would show some aggression towards that hog. And next thing you know, those little pups would join in, and they're trying to get through the fence and get at the hog, and would do that like over and over again, just exposed to that every day or once a week. Take them down there, and then one of these days,
and even just having another dog,
put them in there,
teaching them that's big.
Yeah, and one of these days, like if I have the right size little hog, little boar, I would, that's when you introduce them to them. Maybe that dogo's, 4 or 5 months old. That's generally how I would start mine, on a little small pig, 4 or 5 months old, and just let them get exposed to it. But the point is it was very gradual. Their learning process right there. They're exposed to it a little more every day, a little bit, more aggression with a cur dog to stir them up. And so the way that going forward, most people are going to have to do it is do this in big jumps. And so you're just going to have to be patient and know that you're probably going to have to take a lot of trips, or you may have to take a lot of trips to get to the same place in shorter number of sessions,
And come in full circle with that. You're going to be one of the judges, I believe, for the upcoming Pachanga.
I think Jimmy is. I'm not.
Yeah.
Jimmy,
yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll kind of ask Jimmy then. Sorry about that, Mike. Saying that, we have a lot of different people that have been interested in the Pachanga, just the way it's been marketed. People who have dogos just at home, they don't do anything with them. But this is an opportunity for them to start trying to get those instincts worked and really even get in the ring just for confirmation. But just wondering what type of things would y'all be looking for, taking in consideration that probably 90% of the dogos in the U.S. don't have the true upbringing that was expected to make a true dogo. So not saying that they aren't the best out there, but given the experience that they've had, obviously it's going to be differences. Are there things that you're specifically looking for? Are there things that they can work on when they are training with their dogs that you think are really important for judges to see?
Yeah. For me instead of Mike. You talking to me now? Is that for me?
Yeah, that was for you, sorry.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, first of all, we would encourage anyone, even like you just said, is even if their dogs are not born and raised in that environment, things like the Pachanga that sheriffs are putting on, it's why we're doing it. I mean, don't be scared of the competitive side of it, but what I'm looking for is the independence in those dogs, regardless whether they've ever seen a hog before, any training, to go back to their natural instincts, because it is a controlled situation. We're fenced, we know there's hogs in there, so it's actually easy for us to kind of see these dogs drive and decide to do it whether they want to do it or not. But nobody should be ashamed or embarrassed or come in there a little weak-hearted if their dog performs or not. I mean, it's anybody's day. It's one of those deals. Could be luck of the draw, could be, hogs are up one and hogs the other. But what we're looking for, obviously the guys that have already competed or they hunt all the time, we're looking for the typical what the dog was bred to do. We're wanting to see them hunt independently, the way they catch clean and not bubble gumming and things like that. But you're asking about people that maybe came from town, or maybe they don't hunt all the time. For me, for those people,
they like to transition into it.
Sure, yeah, and that's and those are I would encourage those people to come versus being felt like they were going to come in against a bunch of high-powered people, because it's not that way at all. We would love to see some of those folks get out. I think it's critical because it touches on one of the points I had on my notes, and I didn't want to cut Mike off on his time for kind of talking about his points, but if we don't test these dogs in their hunting environment, then we're not doing our part to preserve the breed as it is. So obviously, I live on 4,000 acres. I'm close to rivers. I hunt all the time. There's folks like me, Chris Norman, the Breedskis, that have access to land. We hunt. We get to use dogos the way they're supposed to be used. And not everybody is blessed with that. So if those folks can come to events like the Pachanga and others and test their dogs, they're going to get enlightened. They might get a little bit of heartbreak, but they might get a lot of pride too. Their dog might come in there and shine. And even if they don't shine, they might at least get a glimpse of what their dog might be supposed to do, seeing other people's dogs, So,
and also that community that you're going to get out of it. I think that's a big part.
Yeah, just a great group of people, and that's why I'll be there every year. Last year, I wasn't sure if I was ever going to get away, but I told the ranch owners, I said, I'm leaving whether you fire me or not. I'm going to Pachanga, So I really highly encourage people to get involved in that. And I don't care if it's the only time your dog sees a hog. If you don't ever get to hunt again through the year, bring your dog. I mean, what can it hurt? And even when I competed, I know a lot of people, nobody's really even in it to win it. You're there to have a good time, talk to people. And networking is going to be one of the keys in what does preserve this breed, at least the Americanized version of this breed, because I think we've already distanced ourselves a little bit from Antonio's original plan for these dogs. I think these dogs have softened a little bit, but I think in essence, we have to have the type of dogos we have here in America. We're relying on outside blood, but I think what Mike said was one of my points is we're getting so restricted on land and large areas of land to hunt. The way that these dogs need to be used is getting almost impossible for the everyday man to do that. There's a lot of risk involved in using dogs of high caliber that were 50 years ago. There's too much liability involved. You send a pack of dogos out and you go to catching cattle, livestock, horses, anything else, you're in the world of hurt, and I think we've kind of civilized the dogos a little bit, if that makes sense. And I think the type of dogs that we're seeing at Pachanga are even a little bit distanced from what the original dogs were back in the day. That's my opinion on it, but I truly think it's hard for the original dogos and what his dream of what they were to be. I think it's almost borderline dangerous to have those type of dogs out in the wood settings in America, because the land mass is just, we're unable to do it now. I'm not saying we can't preserve the breed, but we're preserving a fraction of what it was designed to do, if you can follow me there. And we can branch out off that, but I think they were designed to be a lot more high caliber than what we're dealing with in this day and age now.
I definitely
and
agree.
It's only going to get harder going forward.
It is, Mike. You had said it earlier, and it was one of my things was I think we've created a watered down version. Now, don't get me wrong. There's badass dogos. If we don't network, the whole point of this podcast and the whole point of most of us are friends. We've either met on Facebook. It's a pretty tight knit community. We see thousands of dogos at pounds and rescues and stuff across America, and I don't want my name associated with it. So we know there's hundreds of people out there backyard breeding. We know that. But this is a very, very tight group. I think is limited to 30, 40, 50 people that I could say off the top of my head that I would genuinely, my ears perk up when I hear about a litter or something, I hear about 100 litters, but I might be only interested in a dog from 2 of those litters. And if we don't network in essence with those dogs, and we may paint ourselves into a corner on breeding, we're going to have to rely on some of the founding fathers and bring dogs out of Argentina. I've got a dog flying out of Europe today, pick him up tomorrow. He flies into Houston from Chaba. And so we got to keep networking within our groups. Something I was going to point out on my deals, and I don't mean to cut you out, Mike. Let me know if you jump in here. But
I've actually got to sign off. I'm going to let you guys go on. But this is all great stuff.
Thanks, Mike.
I'm going to sign off. I'll catch up with you guys later.
I'm going to catch up with you. Do that one.
Good seeing you, dude.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, I just wanted to. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Just trying to. I wrote down 3 aspects because this podcast, basically the title of it, it's like you guys had a conversation that was inside my head the other day, was preservation of the breed. And to me, is it preservation of the breed, or is it preservation of the dream and the goal of Antonio and his brother? I think we're looking at preservation of the breed now. I think their goal and dream was a little bit excessive for what we need here in the States. We're not out across the Pampa. We're not able to ride 5 hours before we get to our quarry and make these dogs behave themselves. So we've really picked and chosen through the dogs that we know are athletic. People are doing a great job of health testing dogs. We'll make sure we got hearing, we got hips, we've got temperament, which is massive. They had the temperament that their goal was for the guard dog, something that'll bite somebody if he comes to the yard. We have to really watch that. If we're going to preserve this breed, there's a fine line we're walking with these dogs, not too aggressive, but they have to keep that courageousness. And so three markers that all work together and one can't work without the other is breeders, show ring people, and hunters. And I never thought I'd see the day where I threw show people in there. I was like, what are we showing dogs for? But honestly, the show ring, when you think about it, your goal at the end of the day, in my opinion, and I'm not a show guy, you are supposed to be showing perfection of the standard. So if we have functional dogs that can hunt, catch pigs, catch pumas, everything, that's great. But if they're ugly as a hat full of buttholes, or they don't follow the standard in looks, then we lose it down that avenue. We have dogs that work, but he was very, very particular. And I'm talking about Antonio. When you look at the history of it, of how he wanted the dogs to look as well, all the way from the angle of the jaw to the lips to the angle of the head. So it is critical that we have the show people amongst it also, because the looks of these dogs was important to him, so it should be important to us. And I think show people are going to hold up their end of that, as long as we don't fall into a trap where we have people breeding dogs for show only, if that makes sense too. If we have dogs that are being bred for show dogs, they're going to venture off. You're going to have judges that are breeders and breeders that are judges. And as it ebbs and flows, there's, as well as I do, there's always fads. There's always a judge that likes a little broader chest or likes a little square head. So his next litter of pups, and it doesn't take long for a dog to completely change shape. So so to preserve the breed, we need to keep that in mind. If you look at the English Bulldog, the Great Dane, the Bull Terrier, the way the looks of those dogs have changed in 100 years, 200 years is incredible. An English Bulldog does not look like it looked 150 years ago. So that being said, show people are critical.
Appreciate you guys coming through, staying to the end and listening to all this information. Great information we're blessed to get, and we're going to keep it rolling. We got part 4 coming. It should be coming in just a few days. I'm able to get this going a little bit faster now. But please send me a comment. Let me know how this is, what things we can do better. I think we got about 2 or 3 more segments left in this, and then we're going to move on to our next interviews. We're going to keep them coming and keep that fresh information about the Dogo Argentina coming out. If there's any questions that you may have, any concerns, list them below. If I don't know the answer, I can definitely find the people who do. Again, I appreciate you guys listening. Until next time, peace.